Well, guys, I got both cars in the shop today. We're going to be working on that one. 1970 Dodge Charger. It's the 500 edition. Doesn't mean much in a 70, but it's still a Charger, so it's still awesome. Came factory with 318. Has 440 in it now, 727. Apparently, that engine has been worked on. Something. Last time you guys saw it, fired up this engine at the previous owner's property right before I bought the car. Other than that, don't know too much more about the engine other than he said it was worked on, possibly rebuilt. Don't know the oil pressure. Was jerry-rigged when we were at his house with the jumper wire to the spark coil. So we're going to try and see what the oil pressure is, fire it up again with the jumper, and then if all goes good from there, we'll start investing some money and time into getting this thing to be a turnkey, go to town kind of a rig, because that's what we'd like to see out of any of the dailies or any of the old classic cruisers. Turnkey is always preferred. So we'll go ahead and jump into that, see how good the oil pressure is in this old girl. So went ahead and hooked up a oil pressure gauge because at this point in time it's the only thing that really matters. Without that problem, the little piece that goes in there that crimps the hose, well, they just put it in one side on the gauge side, but they don't put it on the hose side. Mighty Christian of them. Try that again. Smells like the drag strip. Hopefully, once it gets fired, start burning a little bit of that smoke off. You don't want it doing that all the time. Let's dance. Oh, now I flooded it. Before I bought the car, did a little test to see if she would run. You know, hooked up the plug wires, did a 9, and fired up, ran for a split second, let it run. Saw oil pressure building up on the rockers. So I decided this isn't the oil that came out of it completely. This was a mixed bucket, but I just want to see how much oil was in it because I don't have Dipstick, and I was figuring before I bought the car, the guy would put oil in it. There was some, but again, this is not the color of the oil that came out. This was mixed with some water and crap from outside. I just needed a bucket. But we do not have 5 quarts in there. So that's why our oil pressure comes up and then nothing. So do the honest thing and actually put some oil in it to confirm. You know, shame on me for trying to trust that it was already filled. And I'll go ahead and grab a little splash of zinc. It calls for 5 quarts, so one of these works out perfect. You just dump that whole thing right down the chute. I don't know if this thing's got zinc additive in it, but I will add some extra because we don't want to miss out on all of our nutrition in our engine. Come down the old checklist down here. What do we got? Right there. Oh, octane booster. Maybe dump some of that down the throat too. We want the zinc plus. Little dab. Well, admittedly, sometimes a guy gets a little bit ahead of himself. Check your oil. Having a dipstick is going to be one of the things in the very close future. But again, I already saw it run and oil pressure built up. So if I wanted to speculate I messed up, I want to be right. Timed all the way correct. Close. There could be a couple other things. Carburetor could be a little tweaking, but it's cleaned up on the smoke, which is freaking awesome. It's got oil pressure now. Turns out if you got to put oil in it to make that happen. I knew something was a little up, and I thought for a second that it was this gauge. So I'm glad I didn't just, you know, rev the crap out of it. So right now what I got to do is the wiring. I can key it over down here, but as soon as I let go of the starter with the ignition down here, it will, oh, this thing, come on, baby. As soon as I let go of just the spring on the starter, so we got something a little weird, and we got our flashers on right now, and, well, they're not even on. It's not even hooked up. Now that we got some oil pressure, after we added the oil to it, you always got to watch out for that. I don't think we hurt anything because it builds up outstanding oil pressure at idle with 1030, so that's pretty good. Definitely dodged a bullet with that one. I'll give it. To take a look at the engine model. It is still a 440, but it's got the E model, so that's a 69 year. It's kind of neat. Went ahead and checked it on my Challenger as well, because it was originally a 318 car that has 512 in it now, and same thing, 69, 440. Now that we got that taken care of, let's go ahead and try making this thing a turnkey rock and roll Larry, so that we don't have to run a jumper cable underneath the hood every time we want to drive this car. Engine's good. Let's get the wiring good. And on something that was out of my control, the old dipstick got broken off in the block, so I'm gonna try to get it out. I wasn't sure how I was gonna get this out, but just took a screwdriver and hammer, tapped the edge that was just barely sticking up. Whew. And I'm missing an engine bolt. We don't necessarily need that. We're not running. Where you at, you little devil? Come here, buddy. See? Snapped off. So we got a new dipstick right here. Went ahead and just dumped the 5 quarts in it, plus a little zinc action. So I know I'm where I'm supposed to be. Go ahead and clean this up and stab her in there. Sure. Let's stab it in there. I don't know where that bolt goes. Probably goes through the engine mount. That's missing a bolt. Might have to crawl back underneath there. I can't see a thing. Here's the piece that came out of the block. Here's the dipstick that came with the car. I don't know what this is for, but it is significantly bigger. Well, I just bought a parts car that came with a whole bunch of goodies. And it had a dipstick of the same length. Yep, this one's starting. Had the wrong one from all the beginning here. Let's go ahead and get this little tether off. Trying to stay level-headed. Not every day you get to work on your dream car, you know what I'm saying? More penetration, more power. Bolt hole doesn't quite line up. A little bummed about that, but let's see how the dipstick reads. Just barely above the add line. What did I put in there? It's a 5 quart thing. So, close. Better than nothing. Reads a touch low from what it really is. But, hey, we got dipstick now. Let's see if I can get that dang bolt in there. It went and started. Went through the bracket and went through the block. I don't know if you saw anything. Picked up stragglers. It's the next day now. We went for a bit of a side tangent yesterday. I noticed, well, if it's not cranking, it's because the neutral safety switch. So I was like, oh, maybe that's not hooked up. But I was like, it is cranking, but then it kind of got me thinking, I need a neutral safety and park lights and everything. Looked all around, couldn't find the wire. Ended up, it was in the trunk. I knew this was a key on power right here, so saw a weird little plug-in. This is a factory harness, factory BS back here. And this little guy right here, well, that's your neutral safety or your park safety. So it won't crank if it's in anything but neutral or park. Well, this guy, it threw us for the biggest loop because I was like, I don't know where this thing goes. The way they had it is they just got the neutral safety on the starter solenoid. That thing just went straight to ground, which is what this thing would be doing. So I found this wiring harness, and it threw us for the biggest loop because we thought it was a screw together, kind of a coupler thing here, you know, electrical fitting. We didn't know what the hell this was. Couldn't find anything online where this went. People kept saying it goes to that, but we're like, how does that go to that? And we were just completely oblivious, and honestly, I mean, just never done one of these, so I just didn't know. Found one video, guy halfway talked about it, and that's why I originally started the vbeltandson channel, is because there were so many questions I had that nobody wanted to answer. You know, trucks towing and stuff like that, capability and performance parts and all that stuff. So here I am making a video on my next adventure in life, and that is just a broken off spade terminal that was on the starter solenoid from the last one. It's got a brand new starter solenoid on there now. So now you plug that straight on there where that one was grounded, and we're good to go. Do not know why. Yeah, that just was never hooked up, and I don't know why this thing needs to be 40 feet long when literally, like, it's stupid. That's a bunch of extra wire they don't even need. So I need to tidy up some of this stuff. I got a bunch of extra stuff laying in here, but the engine runs, but it's still same issue. I'm not getting power to the coil. I figured out what the problem is. Need a ballast resistor that goes right here amongst all that stuff. And there's another box that plugs into this right here. Don't know how that happened, but I could run to the parts store. Maybe they got something. Or fire up eBay. Oh, going right there. It looked like this had one in the car, obviously at one point in time, but since they painted it, I'm talking about. So as you notice, we do have factory wiring that entails having something like that, but this distributor down here is got ECM in it. But we're gonna just go ahead and hook that up and see if anything changes, because at this point in time, yeah, we're not getting our half the volts that we need to right here. You know, we're supposed to have 6 when the key's on, 12 when it's cranking and running. We'll see how this shakes out though. See if this little scheme of things helps anything. If not, make some calls, probably just order a whole new that, and then we have no excuses. And I know how to wire it all in now. We're running into all kinds of problems so far on this journey, so I called in backup Mr. Sir Callahan. Just kidding. Uncle Mark came down. He went and did the dirty deed we didn't want to do, but watching videos last night, I discovered that our control module for the ignition, well, that might not be grounded. Even though I tested the ground on the screw, on the box, everything, it all showed that it was grounding out, but we went ahead and ran a jumper, and all of a sudden I got spark back. So that was nice, but then, well, we had suspected since square one, but obviously found other snags along the way. Ignition. And, well, she's a little clappy, touchy-go kind of a gal, and her backside's falling apart. She's 50 years old, you know, she's
not as tight as she used to be.
Nah, she hasn't hit the gym and none of that stuff. I mean, she's been left in the field. Lord knows how long ago this car is actually on the road. I'm gonna say 20 plus years. I don't know. It's been a while. So we need to... Well, I'm completely surprised. That's broken. And they had a brand new one in stock. Wires, everything. Plug in. Came with a big old heat shrink loom kind of thing on it. So now that you took that all... Oh, what's this? Oh, it came with a...
Different year for the
oh, for the... Yeah, that makes sense. So, now that you took it apart, you can put it back together. Working on this car, you know, on somebody's project that's been started, trying to figure out what the hell they were doing the whole time, that's difficult. When he turns the key on, just to on, not, or actually that'd be on run. It's supposed to be... Yeah, that would help. Let's start that again. Hook the battery up and we should have power here. So when he turns the key on to run, see we got a little bit of light. It's supposed to be 5-6 volts, something like that. But then when he actually fires it up, then it'll go to the full 12. It's flooded. Just stick that guy right there. That'll work. Okay, give her a crick. Here's where we are now. Got the new ignition in. We do actually have the low voltage to the coil like we're supposed to, but then we have a grounding issue somewhere else. So we've spent the better part of the last 2 hours just going back over everything, checking each one of the wires, make sure they're going to the right spot. You know, I've already looked at every wiring diagram, every YouTube video, spent quite a bit of time researching this, and what I've come to discover is, well, you got your alternator gauge right here. See how much you're charging. Well, if you disconnect that from everything, then you lose power to everything right here, so it's not going through that. Well, when you turn the key off, that thing sits at like 0.5 volt. Like, what the heck? Where's that coming from? So hit the starter with that thing hooked up, and you can hear this relay back in here clicking. And this relay is a little loosey-goosey. It's not tight. Again, this car, I bought it pretty much the way you guys see it. Like, the engine was sitting in it, bolts are loose, but all that. But to keep it power to the coil like it's supposed to be, spark when it's supposed to be, all that stuff, you know, I'm trying to make it work like it's supposed to from like factory. So hook that back up, see if it changes. But check this out. So when I ran the jumper to ground out that solenoid I was just showing you guys, it's showing 12.5 volts. We take the ground off, and there's our little bit of a draw. Kind of a, what the hell is that? Don't know. Figuring more stuff out, but we got a bad ground right there. That's what I'm trying to get at. What is that? Oh, that's for an excavator. That's wrong content. That's pretty cool. I got some more noise insulation for the floorboards, and it's got a photo of a challenge on it. That's not ready yet. Like a factory replacement kind of kit. Comes with everything you need. Just over $200. New distributor, new coil. You can get new wires, but I did not need to do that because I got good ones on there. And it just comes in this one little box. Look at that. Nice distributor. Appears to be some fancy looking stuff there. Oh, you got a kid. What's this? Comes with a new resistor, new wiring harness, plug, screw, brain box. It's only a 4-wire one. Huh. That one's a 5. I don't know. Having the correct part because it's got the correct wire, goes into the wiring harness, goes up to your brain box, has everything. This right here, this distributor with the module and stuff and already inside of it, it's not a bad route-ish, kind of, I don't know. But that's like a $60 part. It might have actually been hurt before we even bought the car because we had to jump start this thing every time using a jumper wire to go straight to the coil. So I'll be glad to get rid of that. This looks nice being a factory kind of unit on there. Now, I'm not claiming to know everything about these cars. Very far from it. Just getting started, I would say. This is my first Charger. I have a couple others now, which is awesome. But this is not a factory replacement power system, spark system, whatever. This didn't come out until 72, and this car being a 70, well, she's a little bit different. I'll get that out of there. Oh, I know that's coming out. Oh yeah, somebody ran that down with a hammer. Learning about a new subject like one of these cars versus just the old trucks that I've been working on for a long time. These cars, I don't know very well, but after just a little bit of time working on this one, and then going and looking at somebody else's completely different car than this, but yet the same car. That's backwards. Look at that. Messed that up already. You know, it's neat looking at the wires and going, oh yeah, no, that's just how mine is. And being able to pick those out. I mean, realistically, it's a fairly simple setup here, but at the same time, if you haven't worked on it, you don't know much about it. We'll get this thing kind of set up. Just put a nut right there for a bushing, shim, spacer. And maybe by the end of the night, this thing will be actually firm. Got oil in it, got the dipstick in it. There you go. Sure. Put that right there. Something like that. Flathead screwdriver. What is this? Caveman? Need to hook up the electric choke though. Be able to do that right here. Let's see how our wires want to behave. Gotta get them over there. I'll leave that on since I can't get it back out or back on there once it's on that coil.
All right, now let's turn the motor over. Where's number 1 on there? Your cap. Where's your old cap? There it is. Where's number 1 on it? That'd be that one. See, it still might be 180 off. We don't know.
Well, we'll find out at that point. You got to penetrate vision.
Oh, X-ray vision? I forgot my Superman glasses.
Remove that doohickey. Put the other doohickey in the doohickey spot. Well, we got enough material to develop some kind of usable. Now, you claim that the Fords, you can drop that thing.
The Ford, it's got a socket here.
It's got a socket there?
Yeah, 8-sided. And the oil pump shaft goes up inside of it. And with oil on it, makes a vacuum. You pull the oil pump shaft out with it and drop it down the oil pan.
It's perfect.
Yeah. Well designed.
Huh. Well, the oil looks perfect down
You
there.
got this pointed out this way, right?
Oh, he's just got some grease on that O-ring. I was like, man, that's some nasty crap on there. Hits.
There's probably plenty there.
We can cover a little bit.
Well, this guy, is that cap? No, we're gonna use a different cap. And this one's built a little different. Wait a minute, that's not even in there. The hell? There it is.
Something. Power. Squeeze it. That one's soft. That is nice. I just closed in now. Calculation. Did need those plug wires. 3 different parts stores to get these ones, and it appears to be not match set, unmatched. They don't all match. That one in there good. That one. Okay, we'll try it. I gotta get some washers and wire in the rest of that junk. Boat prop washers for really digging in, so we get a good ground. I'm gonna put one of those on pretty much everything, and I ran a little jumper here to ground to the block. Use a little bit heavier gauge, and I'll put the main brain right there.
You got you, I got you. Oh, your head, didn't you?
Put another one on the back side,
You did it.
just cause.
What the app's doing laying over there?
So the gauge for your alternator, your charging system, this is all the thing is. And the whole power of the car pretty much goes through this. Constant voltage through it, and if you crank on it a lot, now this wasn't side effect from us cranking on it. These were already like this when I got the car. No idea what the heck happened there. A lot of cranking, a lot of getting hot. Starts to smell doing stuff like that. So those things were just butted together. I hooked them up to this. Talking to some old time MOPAR guy, he said, just don't even worry about that guy anymore. Just hook them together like they were when I got this car, and she'll be fine. So that's what I'm gonna do, and obviously going everything through this little joker, you know. Oh, good. We're gonna heat solder it, shrink tube it. It's all good. Heat shrink solder rigs work pretty good. The Milwaukee cordless heat gun, it needs to be improved. This is not that good. It takes a long, I mean, it works, but it takes a while. That Spectator. All right, key on.
Yep, we got a little bit.
All right, I'll see if you fire.
That's a 440 Magnum, all right. Now the key works.
Yeah. So
And there's no drain when the key's on.
No. That bark for Callahan in there. So everything's rock and roll. You want to go in there and start it? And I'll check the oil pressure as it chills. Yeah, I know, it scared the shit out of him. Make sure she's building oil pressures.
You ready?
Yeah. Because, well, apparently, just get the whole kit that does everything that you want that'll work together with everything else. Even got the old choke hooked up. So I'm pretty happy about that. She fires right off. I'll tell you what, that's a good feeling right there. Probably end up getting some bigger spark wires here because these things are just little doggers. But next episode, hopefully I'll have the cutouts in stock, and then I can go ahead and install the full exhaust on this old girl. And that was probably one of the bigger hurdles that we had to button up, but now she's officially turnkey fire, which is nice. Since my uncle took it apart, I'll have him put the whole column back together. Went ahead and painted that thing, so that was a pretty long-winded video. Just chasing our tails because, well, we had stuff fighting each other on there, but we figured out all the grounds. I'm gonna go ahead and put some more on there. I got some more of those braided brown little stainless steel grounds coming in the mail, so I'll add those to it. Got a Challenger down here running on Dorito power apparently, no respect, and a supercharged Bic Callahan. Oh, you dropping some puffs on this big old jacket, man. Cool. Alright, you guys might notice that it's up on jack stands and we just got a spindle hanging out. I did go ahead and order a complete front brake disc conversion kit for it. They sent me almost all the right parts except for they sent me Chevy lug pattern on the rotor. That's not going to work. 1/4 inch is a big difference when it comes to putting your tires on, and well, that didn't work, so I'm waiting until those show up and we'll be able to set the car back down. Car, you know, when I first got it, pretty much how it looks, except for I've been going through and tinkering with everything here and there, feeling more comfortable about the wiring all in this whole car, knowing where everything goes. First project of the older class of Mopars. If you've seen the other channel, I knocked out quite a few of the old 2nd gen, 3rd gen Dodge Cummins trucks. So this honestly shares a lot of the same design. Bolts, a lot of the bolts, fender bolts, bolts for the dash, inside for the doors, they're all the same size and probably the same bolt. So that's kind of neat to be able to just transplant the knowledge over to that. But as far as wiring, have a better understanding of how it all goes together, how it all works. Checking out other people's cars, looking at it, realizing, yep, that's how mine is, going back and forth, and that's helped me a lot on, you know, projects like this. Still got a lot to go, but like I was saying, how it was an incomplete project when I got it because it was put together, torn apart, put it back together with this engine. Then you got a bunch of loose ends, and I've been chasing a bunch of those, and I'm feeling a lot more confident with every day I work on this car. Getting the body lines all sorted out. I have the new interior to go in the car. All kinds of stuff off of eBay that I ordered, such as a new tumbler. This one sticks. For 50 bucks, you get a new tumbler, new doors, door lockers, and the trunk locker with all new keys. So it's ready to rock and roll. Going to go ahead and rebuild the steering column. Got new bearing for that, new wiring for the turn signal mechanism. Little things like that that are just going to be a lot better when this is all said and done. So good news is the 1969 block 440, despite our little mishap with oil, you guys got to check that thing. But we got, you know, Dipstick is installed. 5-quart system. Put a little zinc in there too to help out everything with these older engines. They like that. So we're gonna end it here. Hit them buttons for me. I'd appreciate it. Thank you guys for subscribing that you have already. And if you haven't, go ahead and just hit that button. Got all kinds of car content stored up, ready to rock and roll. And this is the beginning of it. I'll let you guys know this right now. This is my first Charger. That's my first Challenger. I bought another Challenger, and I did buy a 69 RT Dodge Charger that is going to be absolutely out of this world. And once this car gets a little bit more buttoned up, we'll start working on another car as well. It's going to be something else. So hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal. Just a couple buttons. It's not a big deal, and I would appreciate it. We'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.